In this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite breakfast items. This is a great breakfast item for a busy morning. This morning it's 8:30 and my kids are playing outside, so I actually have time to record a video, which is great. But a lot of times I will make this ahead of time, so I'll do it the day before. You can basically make the dough and you can put it in your pan and then put it in the fridge and bake it the next morning, or you could bake it and cut it into individual portion sizes and like freeze them. So I'll like wrap them in parchment paper and put them in a Ziploc and then put them in the freezer, and then I can pull them out for individual servings when we're on the go. You can also make these into muffins. I think you get about like 15 regular size muffins. So yeah, this is just one of our favorite breakfast items, and they are loaded biscuits. So you have sausage and cheese, and I use fresh milled wheat. I'm going to show you how to do that. So yeah, my name is Brittany, and this is my channel, Marvel and Make. You can find all of my recipes at marvelandmake.com. And if you end up liking this video, just share it with your friends so it'll help me grow. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is put the oven at 450. So it's going to go ahead and warm. And then I'm going to brown my sausage. So this is 1 pound of pork breakfast sausage. And I get this from a local farm. I have kind of a little write-up on my website that I can link as to why we get our meat from local farms. This is something that I get every week along with my milk order. And so I'm going to, like I said, brown that in my cast iron. And while that is browning, I am going to mill my grains. So super quick, this is kind of a whole nother topic, but I'll just give you the nutshell version. Wheat berries, these are basically the seeds of the plant. When you break open a seed, it begins to oxidize, and so it immediately starts losing kind of its nutritional value. So the reason that you want to mill your grains at home fresh is because you want it to be as fresh as possible. So, so I mill my grains to order or to recipe or whenever I need them, right? So I don't mill and then set it aside and use it later. If I end up milling too many grains, then I would just put it in the freezer and I could use that. But you want to mill fresh, because that way you're getting the highest nutritional value possible. Wheat has a lot of good things in it for you, and the commercial flour basically has those ingredients stripped away because companies want to be able to package them and ship them all over the country. And if they were to leave the essential oils and all of the nutrients in it, the flour would end up going rancid. So that's kind of the nutshell of why I do this. The mill is quite loud, so I'm going to turn it on, mill my grains. While they are milling, I'm going to shred my cheese. All of these ingredient measurements will be listed below. Right, so it's been a minute or two. I milled my grains. This is soft white wheat. And I grated my cheese, and I'm just breaking up my meat. You want this meat to be broken up into little pieces and get brown. So while this continues to cook, I'm going to move on to my biscuit dough. Basically, I'm making my buttermilk biscuits, which I will link that recipe as well if you just want to do regular old buttermilk biscuits with using fresh milled wheat. But I'm just making my buttermilk biscuits, and then I add the beef and the pork and the cheese. It's pretty easy. So, so for this, I need 2.5 cups of soft white wheat. Need half of a teaspoon of salt and half of a teaspoon of baking soda. 1 tablespoon baking powder. And again, I'm going to list all of these ingredients and their measurements below. My oven is still preheating, and I am just, this meat is almost brown. Now I'm going to add in my fat to my soft white wheat. I'm using butter for this. For my buttermilk biscuits, I usually use lard instead of butter, but because these have the pork meat and there's going to be like some pork fat that I'm going to dump in here as well, I kind of prefer to use butter for this recipe. So this is just 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and I'm using a pastry blender to mix everything together. See this little guy? I really like this for when I'm mixing, pastry recipes. You can use your hands, though. You could use a fork or 2 forks and kind of mash it all in there. But basically, you want to add cold butter to your flour and mix it all till it's kind of like a cornmeal consistency. Okay, my oven is now preheated, and my meat is browned, but I'm going to let it keep cooking. And I have my butter mixed into my soft white wheat, and it's just got kind of like that flaky texture. Now I'm going to do 3/4 cups of buttermilk, and this is homemade buttermilk. If you don't know how to make buttermilk, I have a really quick video on how to do that. I will link to it. I use my same spoon and just start mixing this together. If you're doing biscuits and you actually want to do like the biscuits and not these loaded biscuits, then I would use, maybe a clean utensil, and then I would end up switching to my hands to put them together into biscuits. This recipe is a little bit more forgiving though. So I'm just going to mix all of that till most of the flour is soaked up. All right, burner off. My meat is good and brown now, and I'm going to just pour my hot meat along with any grease that's in the pan right in here. Like these little, my son made me this, and my sister made me this one. Like their size, because they're good for picking up cast iron like that. I have my meat, I have my biscuit dough all in here. Just go ahead and stir it a little bit. And add in my cheese. This is cheddar. I've used different kinds of cheese. It always turns out great. You want basically right at 8 ounces of cheese. Always shred your own cheese, because if you buy shredded cheese, first of all, it's more expensive, but it also has anti-caking agents in it so that it doesn't all stick together, and those ingredients might be less than ideal. That is what your dough is going to look like. It's going to be kind of all crumbly, and then we are just going to add it into a pan. Again, you could do these as muffins, but I'm going to put it in a 9x13 pan lined with parchment paper. This is a tip I learned from my friend Corey from For Nutrients Sake. If you don't know her, look at her channel because she's great. Instead of using parchment paper like this, crumble it. makes it a lot more pliable, so it'll fit into your pan. Now we are going to take our dough and just put it right in here. Use the back of your spoon, use your hands, whatever, and just mash it down. Use my hands are clean, a lot easier. The parchment paper, if you're curious, is just to make cleanup a lot easier. Now, going to put this into my 450-degree oven for 20 minutes. That's it. That's all we're going to do, and I'll show you what it looks like. So just cook for 20 minutes in a 450-degree oven, and I'm going to serve it to my very hungry kiddos.